Hey!
Hey! Nice pit vipers!
Hey! Nice pit vipers!
Hey! Nice pit vipers!
Hey! Nice.
Pit vipers!
The sunglasses that sunglasses would wear. The sunglasses would
Hi, and thank you for joining us today at the Cross Border Unpacked. My name is Guillaume Deront, and I'm the General Manager at ShipBob in Australia. And I'm super excited to introduce Jourdan Davis, who's the Operation Director at Pit Viper. For those who don't know about Pit Viper, it's a global sunglasses brand working to achieve the optimal blend of style and performance. And for context, Pit Viper uses ShipBob's international fulfillment centers to power global fulfillment in both Canada and Australia. Jourdan, thanks for joining me today. It's great to see you.
Thanks for having me, G. Yeah, I can give a little background on Pit Viper. G kind of nailed it on the head there with we are a global eyewear style company, trying to blend optimal style and performance. We have been around for about 12 years now, and it all started with our co-founder, Chuck Mumford, who found some sunglasses at an Armory surplus store, decided to spray paint them and trade them for beers and rides up the canyon to go skiing. And that's kind of how we came to be and made a name for ourselves. And 12 years later, we have a company of about 90 people. And like you said, we're operating in 3 different countries. And yeah, we like to pride ourselves on not taking ourselves too seriously, but also running a profitable and efficiently operating business. So that's a little bit about Pit Viper. And then in terms of what I do here, so I'm the Director of Operations. And what that means is I oversee pretty much global fulfillment from our self-owned warehouse here in Salt Lake City. And then I manage our relationship with ShipBob and the locations in Canada and Australia, as well as all the inventory at all of those locations, and then the back-end integrations that are connecting our tech stack. So it's a little bit about Pit Viper and myself.
Amazing. Thanks for the intro, and I love the sunnies there. And maybe just, if you don't mind, double clicking a little bit on the journey of the business, right? Because as you mentioned, it's been 12 years, of a resounding success. So I'd love maybe just to take us, through the journey in itself. What were some of the milestones, some of the sort of core key learnings there?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, we've been around for 12 years, but in terms of running like a very global, high performing business, we've really seen a big change in the past probably 5 years. I came on about 3 years ago, and the main goal for bringing myself on was to streamline our efficiencies in the warehouse, as well as analyze whether it's worth it to outsource some of our global fulfillment. So we utilize ShipBob's WMS, which I've talked about on one of these before, and that's been going super well. And then what we were looking for is a partner to streamline our WMS, as well as a partner for our global expansion, which after doing a cost benefit analysis with the help of ShipBob, we realized, we could realize a lot of cost savings in shipping, a lot of customer experience benefits. And so that was the decision point for us going global, and ShipBob was super helpful during that process.
Yeah, awesome. And I'd love to sort of go back on those efficiencies in just a minute, right? But before we do so, Jourdan, like you mentioned, like the last 3 to 5 years have really been a real tipping point for the business in terms of accelerating globally. So I'd love to maybe just understand a few questions in one for you. When did you decide that it was the right time to expand internationally? What did you define as a successful international expansion? So looking at some of the key metrics that you were sort of looking at that point in time, and why did you decide to outsource international fulfillment?
Yeah, so I think the tipping point for us was, I think shortly after 2020, when e-commerce had that crazy boom due to COVID. we were just kind of hitting capacity at our own warehouse. And so we had some decisions to make, whether we expand our warehouse or outsource. So that was probably a tipping point where we had so much demand that we couldn't keep up with. And we wanted to be able to create a lean operating system here in the US. So that was kind of the tipping point of, hey, we need to decide whether it's worth it for us to outsource or expand here. And then to the second point, what was the second point again?
First was when, which you addressed. The second is how did you define a successful launch?
Yeah. So deciding that or determining that, I think we had a lot of factors going into whether these launches were successful or not. But I think the biggest one for myself was to see if the percentage of growth increased faster since localizing than we had been previously. And to that point, we have been. And then, deciding to outsource. Like I said, we were just deciding whether to expand or outsource to a 3PL like ShipBob. And the main point that we wanted to hit on for that was decrease shipping costs. We were looking at approximately $35 per order shipping to Australia with a time in transit of about 20 days. And now we've reduced that down to about $15 per order, and then a lead time of 5 days until that package is getting to the customer. So decreased shipping costs on top of a better customer experience, where our customers are getting their packages faster in a more efficient manner, and we're paying less money. So that was the biggest determining factor for us to outsource.
Yeah, those are, substantial, like not nominal numbers. Like I'm seeing improvements in shipping costs and delivery times, which we know across markets, there's a lot more expectations, for that sort of next day delivery, right? So now that you've got localized footprints, you're able to sort of deliver on that promises, which is pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm looking at your glasses, and at first I love them, so I'll need absolutely a pair of that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what I'll say, Jourdan, is that you guys have done such a good job at building like a real sort of iconic brand that a lot of Aussies actually consider to be an Australian brand. So I'd love to better understand what have been some of the learnings or the key investments, in terms of regional expansion, because it goes beyond just having fulfillment and shipping capabilities in the respective markets. So I'd love to hear a little bit more on how you build that brand, that is a fit for purpose for those local markets.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we were expanding to Canada, I think we had a good read on kind of what the Canadian market looked like and how we can market to them. But Australia is such a different breed that we identified an opportunity for a lot of growth there if we were able to localize even further than just fulfillment. So we implemented a full team on the grounds. We have a marketing, we have operations, we have CS. So it's a pretty small team, but I think it's about 8 of them. But having them be there and knowing exactly what the culture is and knowing exactly how to market Pit Vipers to the Australian market has been super helpful. We've seen a ton of growth, and obviously there's natural growth, but I think that having that localized kind of experience, as well as having that local fulfillment, has been such a game changer. And we've seen a pretty significant, like, exponential growth in terms of what we're looking at in Australia. And I can see it becoming even bigger as we kind of get our roots there. So I think having like a local team, if you can, obviously not everyone can do that, but it's been so beneficial for us.
Amazing. Absolutely. Totally resonates with me. It's probably a good business case for you to come and pay us a visit soon, right?
Yeah. You tell that to my team. I think it's a good idea.
Awesome. And obviously we're sort of, I would say, almost mid 2024 now. So how's the start of the year been for you guys, and just sort of looking ahead at future plans and expansions there? What do you have in store for the next sort of 12 to 24 months?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're kind of hitting a point where we are in a period where we're trying to dial in our operational efficiencies more than ever. We hit that huge growth period during 2020. And since then, we've been able to collect a lot of data, because a lot of our data was fairly skewed, as I'm sure a lot of the e-commerce companies out there were. in terms of forecasting after 2020. So we had a little bit of some over ordering on inventory, maybe some operational inefficiencies, but going forward, Pit Viper, we are looking to be extremely operationally efficient in the next few years and really dial things in and continue to expand our brand, continue to come out with fun new styles that people like to wear and that are high performance as well. So a lot of really exciting things coming down the pipe for Pit Viper.
Amazing. And if you don't mind me double clicking on that inventory management piece, because you now operate as a real global, brand operating across a few different markets, and as you said, we'll continue that expansion in the future. So how do you ensure that inventory replenishments and all of that is something that you can do at scale and across all markets? Like what have been some of the key investments that you guys have made in this space?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. I think at the beginning, we were not making data-driven decisions in terms of what we were ordering in inventory. It was more so reactive instead of proactive. We now have a great team that's doing our forecasting. Shout out to Ben and Adam on my team. They are crushing it, and they are making very, very specific data-driven decisions on what exactly is being ordered in each region. So we've been able to really dial that in, and I think it was a lot of trial and error at first, especially with outsourcing to different 3PLs of how much inventory do we send, what SKUs do we send. And with Canada, we kind of is trial by fire, and we ended up sending a little bit too much inventory, and that ended up leading to some high costs in storage, which we've now dialed in. But that was super helpful for us when we were moving to Australia. We were able to look at what mistakes we made in Canada and avoid those with making very specific data-driven decisions on what inventory to send. And a big thing for us when we were sending inventory to Australia was let's undersend and not oversend and see what works well, and then go from there. So that was a huge tipping point for us where we were able to use data that we actually were pulling from that 3PL specifically instead of just guesswork. So yeah, a lot
totally.
of data-driven decisions is my biggest takeaway from that.
Absolutely. Data is key. Absolutely. And so as we look ahead, what other markets do you think that you guys will be expanding into in the future? And do you have any market in mind that is not necessarily English speaking? I'd be interested to hear what would be your approach there, if any different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We had some plans that we were looking to Europe, and I think we're settling back down into focusing into really dialing in and what 3PLs and what resources we currently have. I've talked about us becoming more operationally efficient. Instead of opening up more markets, we want to make sure all of our markets are currently at optimal optimization, like they're running as efficiently as possible. The inventory is dialed. So in terms of global expansion, we don't have too many plans. We're currently on, we utilize distributors in a lot of countries, Spain, all of Europe. So we're going to continue moving forward with that international strategy. I think down the road, once we do have full operational efficiency, you could see us opening up something in Europe as our third, fourth largest market.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. Well, that's all the success we wish to you guys. It's been a fantastic journey. It's been an absolute pleasure to collaborate with the Pit Viper brand here in the region. I'll speak for the Australian market. So I'm very excited to see what you guys have in store for the next 12 to 24 months there.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, ShipBob's been awesome to work with, and in terms of the WMS and 3PLs. So happy to chat and happy to see where ShipBob and Pit Viper go in the future too.
Amazing. All right, Jourdan. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Great to catch up as always, and best of luck. And I definitely need one of those sunnies, so I'll hit you up after.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Hey!
Hey!
Nice Pit Vipers.